Hi everybody, Luke Gallant here from the YT624EJ maintenance channel. So believe it or not, we've reached episode 24. What began as kind of a joke during COVID turned into quite a number of episodes. And though one would think that on a simple snowblower we'd start running out of ideas, that is not the case. Today I'm going to do an episode on what I've noticed has gotten a lot of chatter in the forums, Facebook groups, which is the battery. So my snowblower here, believe it or not, this is its 9th season here this year. Honestly, it's looking really good. This snowblower, after all, we've seen through the videos some of the issues and how to resolve them and whatnot. But one of the things that a lot of people have been discussing is the failure of the battery. As I explained in a couple of videos back, is that failure of the battery will lead to the failure of your LED light, and I kind of want to work on a correction for that. Which may be in a future video. Not so much a correction as a savior mechanism for the LED light. Failure of the battery leads to obviously another annoyance, which is you can't start the snowblower unless you pull it, which pulling is fine, but you don't want the LED failing. I thought about it quite a bit, and I initially wasn't going to make a video on this because it's a fairly basic task, but I thought that it would be a good add-on to our video collection so far, is to show diagnosis and replacement of the snowblower's battery. Now I think most people would argue that it's pretty obvious to know when your battery is dead, in that when your snowblower doesn't start after you've charged the battery, it's probably dead. So that's kind of the basic fact, is that if you've charged the battery and a day later the snowblower won't start or doesn't have enough current to crank over, obviously the battery is probably busted. For a sealed lead acid battery, which is the type that comes in these blowers, to me 9 years is a very good life for a battery. Now my snowblower stays inside all times. If you keep your snowblower outside and you have a tendency to let your battery discharge either through its self-discharging rate, for example, over the span of 6 months, your battery can get quite discharged just on its own sitting there. So you always want to be charging the battery. But for myself, about a week ago, I charged the battery fully with my proper charger. And when I went out to do my first snowblowing, I noticed it was really weak and cranking, and I knew right away. And then I actually went to use it successfully for a good hour. And when I went to start it, upon leaving that location, the battery was completely dead with not even any turning over of the engine. So what I want to show is I want to bring up a reference to season 3. If you look at season 3 near the end of the episode, there's actually a nice oscillograph of what this battery looked like when it was new. And basically when I would start the engine, the voltage would go down to 10.5 volts. And then a lot of current would flow and the battery would start the engine. So it's a 12 volt battery. Usually it may be charged at about 12.5 volts. And when you start the engine, you want to see that voltage go no lower than 10.5, 10, which is kind of good. Anything below that, like especially 7, 6, 5, all the way down to 0 volts when you turn the key, means you've got a battery that can no longer supply the current that's required. I charged mine and I ran it, then I had that issue, but there's no point charging it again. What I'm going to do is show you guys on the multimeter what that looks like. It's fine to hear the click and the fact that there's nothing going on the start relay, but it's useful to look at the voltage with a multimeter and see that voltage go from 12.2, let's say, down to 2. And I'll show you what that looks like. Then what I'm going to do is walk you through what battery I got to replace it, how to go about initializing the battery, and then taking the old battery out and putting the new one in, which is pretty direct. It's only a strap and a couple screws, and I'll explain some of that. So again, thanks for watching, and I've got a couple more videos in the queue, but with the kids and activities and work, I've been a little bit limited, but thanks for watching, and let's go. One of the things I noticed as well after I'd fixed my LED light on this last outing is that my LED light was quite dim, and somebody mentioned on a Facebook group about 20% dimness. So don't forget, this battery serves as a capacitor to smooth out the voltage. And if your battery's not working correctly, you're going to get high voltages or potentially low voltages out of the alternator, depending on the mechanism. So a light that is not shining at full brightness could indicate a problem with your battery. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our multimeter, we're going to put it in DC voltage mode. We're going to attach the 2 alligator clips. Now I know not everybody might have these, but if you don't have these, get somebody else to help. But alligator clips give you a strong low resistance connection. So I'm going to put that on there, and now we see that 12.1 volts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the key. Now we see that voltage drop, and we see it dropping kind of quite fast. So it's continuously going down. So this battery, to me, really doesn't have much energy, and we're going to repeat this with a new battery after it's charged. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the key, and I want you to watch the voltage here, and you want to listen to the sound. So here I go in 3, 2, 1. So we have 2.5 volts DC, and now that we're done with that attempt to crank, you see you got that 9 to 10 volts, and it's coming up slowly. This battery is finished, and I had charged this battery. So don't try to keep recharging the battery, reconditioning it. After 7, 8, 9 years, a flooded lead acid battery like this is garbage. I hate the disposable nature of it, and I like that when my things last forever. But don't try to keep these things alive. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna proceed to removing the battery, and then I'm gonna initialize the new one. I'll talk about what I got. So to remove the battery, we're first gonna take the negative terminal off. And the reason we do that is for quote unquote safety purposes, so that we don't short to anything. So we're gonna take the negative off, and then we take the positive off. Then we're gonna pull the strap off as such, and we're just gonna pull the battery out. So we're gonna talk now about what battery I'm going to use to replace the original one. And I think those that watch this video often will know that I'm kind of an OG guy. We had a Yuasa battery in the snowblower, and I'm kind of a Yuasa guy. I've had really good luck with Yuasa batteries in all devices that I have that use them. So I don't typically buy the aftermarket, except for my motorcycle, where I use a lithium-ion battery, which I would not use in a snowblower, especially those that store it outside. Lithium-ion batteries are not for power sports equipment that are subject to freezing. So you want flooded lead acid like this, or sealed lead acid. So this is where I buy my stuff, Fortnine. I as well buy from the dealership in town as well, but in this case I purchased from Fortnine. So here's Yuasa. That's what comes in the snowblower originally. And you see here it's a YTX14-BS. So you want to get the exact number, otherwise you might find yourself with positive and negative terminals that are reversed. You might find yourself with a battery that's too large. So we're going to open this up. I already opened it up, so some of the packaging is already cracked open. You want to handle this very carefully, like don't drop it, don't use a knife to crack this open. We have screws that come with. We have the electrolyte. So I don't have gloves on right now, but I will be putting some on quite soon. So we're gonna put this aside very carefully. And then we have here an empty battery. It's still quite heavy. What I'd like to do out of curiosity is measure the voltage of this battery just to see. It should be open circuit with no voltage, but we'll see. So when I hooked up the meter, I found that it was 6.5 volts, and it's continuously declining here. So I'm not sure what exactly we're measuring, but we're settling out at about 6 volts and a little bit. So that was useful. Dry battery has some voltage. I'm not sure what you could do with it, but we'll stop that pursuit right here and there. All right, so we read the instructions. It says to remove the sealing sheet on top of the battery. All right, I've got some gloves on, and I'm gonna take this moment to remind you that it's sulfuric acid in that container. So you wanna have gloves, probably thicker than this, but I'm gonna go with these. You wanna have safety glasses. You don't wanna touch your eyes. When you're done this job, you wanna take the gloves off. You wanna wash your hands. You don't wanna touch your eyeballs or your skin. And you wanna prepare yourself. If there's any splash, you can get your clothes off and this kind of thing. So there's a sealing sheet here that covers the ports. So we're gonna pull the sealing strip off. That's step one. Oh, a bit of air in there, a little scary. We're gonna get that out, some pressurized air. We're gonna read step number 2. It says prepare the electrolyte. So we're gonna remove the strip of caps. All right, so here's our sulfuric acid. We've got the little brochure. So we're basically gonna take the sealing strip off. We're gonna set it aside. And now you see that they're sealed up here. It says do not puncture these manually. We're gonna turn this over and we're gonna put it up in here. And as you can see, there's sharp puncture points in there. And it says to just leave it like that for at least 20 minutes. So I'm gonna go this way here, upside down. I'm gonna push that in, and there we go. As well, I'm gonna monitor the voltage here because why not? We can. So we see that as the fluid's going in there, our voltage I think is going up. Okay, so it's been a while and things have stabilized. I'm gonna take the plastic out, and again, don't drip any of this stuff on you or anything else. Put it in a bag to dispose of it. And finally now we're gonna be putting this cap over the ports. So now at 12.6 volts, this battery is about 75% charged per this curve. So we're going to connect the battery to our Junior 800 on the lead acid mode. So we're going to plug this in, the lead acid mode would light up. And then we see here it's the amber light because we're about 75%. And when we get to the green flashing light, it means we're above 80%. And when we hit the solid green light, it means the battery charging is complete. So I'm actually going to put that there. I'll let that progress. A bit of a time lapse here. Alright, so the camera's battery and storage died when I went to bed. But basically, it took a bit of a while for the battery to charge. When I came in this morning, the battery is fully charged. I've left it on the charger. In this morning, it was floating the battery at 14.1 or so, and now it backed off, and it's holding the battery at 13.14. So one final shot of that, then when I get the battery disconnected, I'm going to put it back in the blower. We're going to proceed with the battery's replacement. Make sure you don't forget this underneath your old battery. That there in the center. To lift the new battery in place. Going to strap it in. The ground unattached. Put in screws. Slide that in. So personally, I don't put dielectric grease here. Because on the previous battery there was no signs of corrosion, everything was fine. There's few instances that I put dielectric grease here, and on this is not one of them. So I've attached the meter to the battery, and we see that we got 13.11. I'm going to turn the light on, then I'm going to try a start. I'm not going to start the blower because I'm in the garage, but we'll see what it does to the voltage. So we've got the light on, and we've got a decrease that's beginning. That's going to take just that top floating voltage off. Kind of like the old one, so it's not too different, I suppose. Then we're going to give it a start, and I'm not going to let it start. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So we see 11.8 volts. That's a really strong start. All right. So we've got the battery replaced with a brand new Yuasa battery. I'll put the description of the battery in the description below so you can buy it with a link if you want, or go to your local dealer. And what I can do is I can provide the some various part numbers for you to give to your dealer if they want to order from Parts Canada or Motovan or these other distributors. I find it's easier to give your local dealerships an actual number. For posterity's sake, I'll put in the Yamaha part number too for the battery, even though you probably wouldn't go through Yamaha for a battery like this because the price for the same product would be a lot more. One point of interest, the old battery was made in China, the new one's made in Indonesia. Not that it makes a difference, but so for future episodes, I've got two things on the mind. One of them would be greasing the two gears beside the hydrostatic transmission. That was a request from one user. And the other thing would be showing the adjustment of the forward and reverse cable down to the hydrostatic. That seemed to trip up some users. Again, if you got suggestions, put them in the comments below. I'd like to hear. I don't have anything else in mind right now. I appreciate you taking time to watch this. I know it's a benign topic, replacing a battery, but I hope you found some value from it. And talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.